You're listening to the Uncensored Direct Marketing Show. This show is designed for direct response marketers who want raw, unfiltered conversion tips and secrets to scale their offers profitably to reach their next million. I'm Maria Sparagus. I'm the founder of Direct Painted and your host. Now let's dive in. Welcome to this week's episode of Uncensored Direct Marketing. Today, I'm speaking with Pauline Longdon. Pauline started her career as an Army nurse and moved on to copywriting 10 years ago. She pursued several mentorships to be able to perfect and master her craft. Pauline is a force to be reckoned with in the direct response copywriting space. We discuss how she sets her rates, what pushed her to change careers, female versus male copywriters, as well as her top tips for finding the big idea in her copy. I had so much fun talking with Pauline. She shares such valuable information for junior and tenured copywriters, as well as a few special tips for my female listeners. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I loved speaking with Pauline. As usual, please comment, like, subscribe, and share for great weekly content. Now, here's today's episode. Hi, everyone. I have Pauline Longdon today on Uncensored Direct Marketing. Pauline is my first female guest and the first person I thought of when I thought of having a female on my show and a powerful woman that knows her stuff. So I'm going to let Pauline give us a little introduction and tell us a bit about yourself, Pauline.
Okay, so I am what I call an emotional direct response copywriter and marketer. And when I say emotional, that's not because I get emotional. It's because I can actually tap into the emotions of the person that I'm writing to. And that's one of my superpowers. I was an Army nurse for about 14 years and before I got into business, and I got to the rank of major, but then ended up with getting burnt out and ended up with depression. So got out of the military and basically got into business. You know, someone said, I'll build it and they'll come. And then I built it and no one came. So I had to go on this journey of marketing. So I started out as a marketer and then I tried to get someone to write copy for me. And then no one could write copy for me. So I ended up being a copywriter. So that's how I ended up on this path right now. I've been a dabbling copywriter for 10 years and I've been a professional copywriter for about the last 8 years. I think it's nearly 8 years in a couple of months.
Wow. That's amazing. So what made you go, how did you get the skills going from, let's say, nurse, Army nurse to becoming a copywriter? Like, how did you train to become a copywriter?
Yeah, so I just did the normal, like the course, route where you just do every course that you can. And at the time, when I first started copywriting, I was kind of limited, and it's kind of not really only by my mindset, because you only know what you know at the time. But there was some like big name copywriters in Australia, and so I did their courses. And it's funny because every time I did their courses, they say, okay, so just say in copywriting, there's like 11 herbs and spices. So I go, okay, cool. So I do the basic course, I'm going to get so many spices, and I do the advanced course and the intermediate, all that sort of stuff. But every time I ascended up in their courses, I was getting the same 4 herbs and spices in different orders and that. And then I'd say, but what about the other 5, And they go, oh, 5. You can tell I'm a word nerd, not a numbers girl. That's not 5, is it? That doesn't even add up. That's hilarious. But anyway.
I get you.
Yeah, you get me. Anyway, the moral of the story was they weren't giving you the 11 herbs and spices. They would just give me rubbish all the time. So then I decided to go outside of Australia to, level up my copywriting abilities. Because like I'm pretty astute anyway, because what I worked out was these guys were learning from someone. Yeah. And it's like, why go to like a little foothill of a mountain? Let's just go to the mountains where these guys are getting their information from. And then I've got this funny kind of mindset is that, if people are going to stand there in front of me and say, you're only taking 10% of what you learn, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like looking at them and I'm going, well, if you learn from that guy, you only learn 10% and I'm getting 10% of your 10%. This is really horrible.
It's not adding up.
It's not even adding up. You're the number girl. So then I just went, you know what, I'm tired of this. And so I spoke to my partner. I said, I want to start going to America and just finding out what I'm not being taught here. And as soon as I got out of my own backyard and started to go to the mountains instead of waiting for the mountains to come to me, my whole trajectory just took off like out of control, really. It's been amazing.
I know for a fact that, not only are you persistent, but, you mentioned that you were an emotional copywriter, but you're not an emotional person. So you mentioned that you did some financial offers and so forth. Do you find that emotional is good for every type of offer, like supplements? I know supplements, like weight loss stuff is pretty important to get into the emotion, but how about every other type of offer, like financial stuff or anything?
Yeah. So what I do, and I've kind of developed my own thing, and I mentioned this at the Copy Accelerator event, and I've been doing it for years, but it finally dawned on me I should share it with the world. But you know how when we do our research, we've got demographics and psychographics. I kind of started to do this thing that I called emotographics. So what I do when I do my research, I'm actually looking at the emotional, like, loading of why people have done what they've done, like reading behind the lines. Like, people will tell you what they want you to hear, but why they actually saying that, what's going on in the background, and usually that's linked to some kind of emotion. But also it's I think emotion is very important for those kind of things, because where emotion comes in, and a lot of people don't understand this, is that people have emotional reactions to companies. Like when I was writing my recent financial promotion, the guys were saying, we're like the Uber of hedge funds. And I said, but what if people don't like Uber for a start, and because of sexual harassment stuff that happened years ago, and then people turn their back on them? So I said, there's an emotional loading there that I don't want to go near. And also the other thing is that, like saying that you're the Uber of something to like multimillionaire and billionaire investors. Did they use Uber? No. Well, why would you compare yourself to Uber? Like, that's stupid. Yeah. But so the more the thing was that I wanted to say there about the emotion is the emotional loading that people have on certain things. And like, if I'm writing to Americans these days, like writing American copy, a word that I used to love using all the time is, this program, this product, this whatever trumps everything else on the market. I don't use the word Trump anymore, because as soon as you use the word Trump is like a word, copy liability, in the fact that you can't control the emotional imagery that person has just gone on. Like, Some people love him, some people hate him. It doesn't matter. I just avoid the word, because I can't control at that moment the imagery and the emotional thought that the person, or the emotional experience that they're having linked to that word. So that's what I'm saying about emotion graphics are really quite powerful, and I'm going to be putting them into a course that I'm co-doing this year.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I mean, I didn't even think of that, but I guess if you use the word Trump for something that's very right-wing, it might give you the emotion that you're looking for, right?
It might, but, even then, okay, so and I would normally say, yeah, that's true, but think about this, Maria. If you say Trump and they're right wing and they go, oh man, that guy, they stole that election and they did this and they did that, they're in their head, they're not looking at your copy. So you've actually taken them away from your copy. And that's why I say you've started an emotional kind of like imagery and memory where you can't control that. So they've gone, they've left your
that's true.
Your copy.
Yeah, you don't want to take that away, and you don't want to get people to be thinking anything that other than what they're reading. So there's so much. It's. I find copywriting is just another form of art, because I don't think of these things, specifically. But when I am reading, and now because I'm in Copy Accelerator and I'm around a lot of copywriters, I pay so much attention to little things that how the art of copywriting and actually talking about Copy Accelerator and the fact that we're both in it. I heard you speak at Copy Accelerator. So that's why I invited you on my show, because I loved your talk. It was entertaining. It was fast. You were just talking so fast. I was like, oh my God, I want to write everything down. I want to record this and listen to this again. And one thing you said that really, it made me chuckle, and it just caught my attention. You said, I don't write with my vagina.
Yeah. That's like that's one of my more popular lines. I'm known for that. But
that's amazing, because, it's sometimes when you think of copywriting and you're writing, let's say, a weight loss product, people are like, oh, well, maybe it should be because it's for females, I should get a female copywriter, because it's, so what are your thoughts on, like, now you're writing financial, which to me seems like more hedge fund. It seems more like a male oriented niche. How are you able to kind of navigate that and convince, I guess, the party that you're writing for that you're the right person for whatever it is that you want to do?
Yeah, see, I don't necessarily see gender in copy, and especially as copywriters. I mean, and that was something funny that did come up in that talk, and that was actually a very spontaneous thing that I said, because like it's quite funny because in the copywriting world, they'll say, oh, there's these top 10 copywriters, and then there's the top 10 female copywriters, and it's like, well, why can't we be in the just top 10 general copywriters? Why do we need to have like some kind of qualifier in front of our name? Why can't we be like up there with the males? And because it's not the top 10 male copywriters, like it's just seen that the standard is that they're males and that the females are unusual.
Second. Yeah.
And it's funny because when I first started copywriting and I wanted to make my big break in Australia, I said to one of the big marketers out here, I said, he said, oh, what do you want to do? And I went, I want to be a copywriter. And he said, don't get your hopes up. Females don't make good copywriters. And I just went, ooh, okay, that's interesting. He goes, yeah, I've seen a lot of female copywriters come and go, and they never really make the grade or last distance. And I just went, okay. But then actually, like to tell you the truth, when I looked around Australia at that time, there were no female copywriters of any note. And in fact, there weren't any real fabulous male ones either. So when I actually went to that Titans of Direct Response course event though, there was heaps of female copywriters there and the A-listers and all that. And I just went, holy shit, I'm like in like, this amazing place. But then what I see within the industry is like even someone the other day on my Facebook wall, he thought he's complimenting me. He goes, oh, you're my favorite copywriting writeress or something like that. And it's like, why do you need to complicate it? Why do you have to add letters and shit to it? Like, I'm just a copywriter. And that's why I just articulately say, I don't write with my vagina and you don't write with your penis. Like, and the funny thing is that years ago, I was invited to speak at an event over in Poland, and I got to write the sales letter for the event. And so I wrote it, and the guy that I wrote it for, Trevor Toe Cracker Crook, he's a traditional Aussie guy, a bit rough around the edges, but says it as it is. So I wrote the copy for him, and basically no one knew that I wrote it, and so it goes out into the world, and everyone's backslapping. Oh, Trevor, great letter, fantastic, man. Like no wonder you're an A-lister, blah blah blah. That letter is like fantastic. And then like Trevor, to his to his credit, said, guys, that wasn't me. I haven't had time to write that copy. I actually got someone to write it for me. And they went, oh, yeah, who's the dude? Who wrote it? And he said, oh, it's actually a woman. It's Pauline Longdon. They went, oh,
wow.
Like, fuck off, like that kind of attitude. But the funny thing is, Maria, is like a couple of years ago, like because I modeled that whole letter off the Titans of Direct Response letter. The guy who wrote that, Roy Furr, basically wrote that letter as kind of a bit of an unknown, and then he just like was catapulted to fame because he wrote that letter. So I had in my mind, this is going to be my big thing. I'm going to write this letter. I'm going to speak on the stage. Roy didn't get to speak on the stage because the event was ridiculously like overloaded with awesomeness. Yeah. So, but I got to speak on Trevor's stage. So I wrote the letter, I got to speak, and then crickets after it. It's because, a chick wrote that. So, yeah, pretty good job. But, whereas some of the guys that I've told about that, they said, that should have been your ticket to the moon and beyond, Pauline. Like, yeah. I can't believe you didn't get more out of that. And I said, that makes two of us. But it doesn't matter because I guess something that happens when you're a female, and it's funny, when I was in the army, we had the same thing. It's like you have to work twice as hard to be half as good.
Yeah.
And so although you wear the same rank, you're doing the same thing and everything like that, and in the military, thank goodness, you're getting the same pay. But, yeah, you have to work extra hard to get that promotion. You have to work extra hard to get that recognition, that they'll just, like, hand out medals. Here you go, have a medal, have a medal, guys. Female, yeah. She's standing there. It's like, oh, no, no.
I completely agree with you, Pauline. I have the same. Yeah. I started my business in my late 20s. That was only 5 years ago. No.
You've done a lot in that time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I started my business in my late 20s, and, I was quite young, and I always had, like, I looked even younger. Like, I just had this like very kid looking kind of about me, but, I had quite a bit of experience, and I was pretty confident in my material. But I did find when I was going to the affiliate summit, especially in like 2008, 2009, like those years was like, there was very few, there was less than like 5% women there that were actually business, like for business. There was a lot of females that were there, but mostly like they would get the females to like model. So like the men would be attracted to the different booths and stuff like that.
Right.
And I always came across the same thing. It was like, at first I was taken for maybe somebody who was just like an attraction to a booth, or like somebody who can foot in the door, like salesy. I got told 100 times, like, why don't you tell your boss to give me a call on Monday, and like, we'll figure out the details. I got told so many of those things. And I agree with you so much that I had to work so hard for people to take me seriously when I was starting. And I was like, but I'm honest. I know what I'm doing. I ran the merchant accounts for the biggest adult entertainment company in the world when I was like 23. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time. And still there was this like bro kind of imagery, and they'd have a couple of drinks, and I couldn't participate in that. But then I was like, you know what? That's okay, because I don't need to get everybody to be my client. And when they're done getting drunk with all these people and they really want to do business, then I'll be around, and I will be the non-drunk one there, and I'll be ready to take over the business. But I mean, I'm happy that you were able, because right now, although you went through all these trials and tribulations, like I hear you speak, and I hear the projects that you're working on, and it's amazing. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's the journey's, it's the journey's great. And then when you finally get to a certain level of success, it's like, well, you had to get shot down a couple of times so you can make sure that you have that resilience and that you're there, So,
but something about you and I though, like we're not going to be flying. Like, I am a feminist, right? But I'm not one of those like bull breaking, man-hating feminists. I just would like women to get a better go than they do, okay? Especially when I see males that are, maybe they've only just started copywriting, but there's a female that's been writing for 2 years or maybe 3, 5, 6 years, and these young bucks are getting opportunities before the women that are actually more qualified and probably more passionate. It's just that the bro was there telling a sob story or telling some kind of thing, and it just hit people the right way. So there is a bit of the bro thing, but on the same, let's flip the coin over. That first Copy Accelerator event that we went to, there was one speaker, and that was Alison Carpio. Now, the funny thing about that was I had just come home from Poland, being the only female speaking at that big event over in Poland, and I was speaking with some of the industry greats, like Drayton Bird, Trevor Crook, Bond Halbert, John Carlton, Caleb O'Dowd, some really big names of the industry. And but you know what I got called? I got called the token taco in the Sausage Fest, right? But you know who called me that? Females.
Oh my gosh.
Females called me that. It's like, whatever, like, I there's a group that I'm in, of female copywriters, and it's like, we're our own worst enemy. Here I am, I'm doing something that's quite amazing. Alison Carpio is doing something that's quite amazing. Yeah. It's actually like we've earned our place onto that stage. Like, Trevor didn't have to have me on the stage. In fact, he had like 5 other guys he could have had on that stage, but he had me, not because I'm a female, because I freaking earned it. Alison Carpio wasn't on that stage with Justin and Stefan because she was a female. It was because she freaking worked hard to be there. So this is the other side of the coin that I wanted to talk about with females. It's like, I'd like to see women have more opportunities. And I said this to Justin at the beginning of last year. He said, oh, what do you think about having more females on the stage? And I said, only if they deserve it. I don't want a female up on the stage just because she's like,
you don't need a token female. You just need somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about.
And that comes back to like speaking. It comes back to like, how I feel about female copywriters is how I feel about every copywriter. I don't care if you've got an innie or an outie. Do your friggin' job, do it well, and be remunerated or be appreciated for the value that you bring, not just because you're a dude or you're a dudette. But our industry does have a long way to go, because there is a lot of disparity. Because as I said, that letter that I wrote for Trevor should have been my meal ticket for the rest of my career. But here's a good thing that happened though. If that had have happened, I probably wouldn't be where I am now, which is a pretty fine place to be. So
yeah, exactly.
Everything works out as it's meant to be. Yeah.
There you go. And you did touch upon something, just kind of hammering this female talk, just because I'm curious. You've been in the space, and we're veterans, I guess, in comparison to some of the newer people. Is that women I find have a harder time giving a price and collecting.
Yes.
And that's something I struggled with as well when I was doing consulting. And then once, I think maybe in like 2013 or something, I did some course for one of my clients, and I really went and trained his whole team and talked about everything about, all these different ways of like increasing conversions by using payments and stuff like that. And I charged him, I'll be honest, I charged him 10 grand, which was quite a bit of money, but I didn't know what to charge him. And I said, I'm just going to charge him 10,000 because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But I'm flying there. I'm staying there for 4 days and coming back. Yeah. And it was 10 grand. All right. Sounds like a nice number. Finished the whole course. He looks at me straight in the face. He's like, Maria, you charged me $10,000 for that. So I was like, it's like imposter syndrome. Oh my God, he's figuring me out. I don't know what the hell to do. He literally goes to me, you could have literally charged me 4 times that, and it still would have been worth it.
Wow.
And I was like, so can I change the invoice now?
Yeah. Just wait a second. I know. So, yeah.
That's where I kind of learned that, I know a lot, and it's females, I find, just have a harder time discussing money and being comfortable around money. And that's one thing that I try, at least in my circle and in my friends, is like, if that's what you think you're worth, then go for it. Why are you afraid to say that it's $100 an hour, or $50 an hour, or it's $200 an hour? It is what it is. You know what I mean? And go with it and try to, and make it happen, I met a couple of people from Copy Accelerator. And one thing, who was it? It was just like a younger copy guy. He's like, you know what, Maria, I love that you love money. And I'm like, yeah, I love money. Why wouldn't I love money? Everybody loves money. He's like, I think he was so surprised by the fact that I'm a woman that's just like, it's cool, man. I like to buy good shit and I want to make money because I know what I'm doing. So it's how do you find your journey when you're talking money? Like, I mean, I'm sure now it's much easier because of your experience and your track record. But at the beginning, how did you find that interaction of like, what do I ask for? How do I ask for it? Like, any tips for our female writers listening?
Yeah, good comment. I mean, I grew up in Australia where we have this hideous thing that we call the tall poppy syndrome. And so that's basically when people start to grow up and then some just cuts them down. And it's kind of like puts you in your place. And so when I came into the copywriting world, I was legitimately trying to work out how much I should charge. And these older veteran copywriters in Australia are going, oh yeah, you're getting too big for your boots, you're going to ask for too much money. And it's like, don't ask for more than me. It's like, well, if I'm asking more than you and I'm not asking for a lot, then there's a problem. You need to up your prices. I'm not going to stay below your price just because you're an idiot. So there was kind of that coming into that. It's like, oh, she's too big for a boot. She's asking for so much for a sales letter. But then something that happened to me, and I'm a mentor for copywriters, right? So, and this is something that I've got for them. I say, I want you to put together a list of what you will and won't do for money. And that way you've got like your health, your respect and your ethics right at the beginning of your copywriting, right? So I've got that. But they always laugh when I say, for instance, like my number one on my list is that I won't be disrespected by a prospect or a client twice. And they laugh, they go, well, why would you even do it the first time? And it's like, well, that was a surprise. If I let them do it, then that's on me, right?
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is like years ago, I submitted a guy wanted a double webinar funnel from soup to nuts, everything, like from ads all the way through to, thank you emails and all that sort of stuff. And so I looked at it, and because I was not very comfortable with myself, confident in my pricing and value, I said, okay, so it's going to be $17,500 for both. I'm going to do it in a month, blah, blah, blah. Let's get it going. And so he counted my proposal and he said, oh, I'll only give you 12 grand. I said, well, what parts don't you want me to write? And he goes, no, all of it. I said, well, why did you drop the price? And he just wouldn't say. And I just went, okay, so I don't know what's going on, but and then all of a sudden he said something and something triggered in me, and I went, so let me ask you just this very simple question. Would we be having this conversation if I was a male copywriter? And he said, no.
Oh, he was honest about it.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And I said, well, you know what? We're not having this conversation anymore. Go and find yourself another copywriter and happy trails. Good luck for you. Anyway, so a month later, he came, crawling back, and he said, I haven't been able to find another copywriter. Can you please write this for me? It's urgent that I need it done. He said, I will pay the full amount today. And I went, well, actually, that would be a 50% deposit because now the price has gone up. And that's if you could buy my time, because I don't want to work with you ever again. And so people will say to me, oh, that's okay. Like, you walked away from $17,500. It's all right for you. You're a big time, blah, blah, blah. I did that in my second year of copywriting.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't say before, but, when I went to that Titans of Direct Response copywriting thing, I actually borrowed money from a stranger to go to that event. So there was some very lean times. But that's why I get my copywriters to, when I'm mentoring them, to have their list of what they will and won't do for money, what they stand for and what they stand against. I want to know. And then the third thing that I get them to talk about is their unshakable why. And I'd be happy to share that with you in a moment if you want to, because I think having an unshakable why gives you that resilience and relentlessness when you're going for goals that life just won't get in the way. But yeah, so with advice to female copywriters about valuing yourself, I mean, just imagine what the guys are doing. Like I had a mentee that I'd mentored for about a month, and he wasn't even a copywriter. He wasn't even a copywriter's wet dream, to be honest. He had no talent. And after that, he said, oh, I've just been asked to do a sales letter for someone. And I said, oh, how much are you going to charge? And he goes, I'm thinking $8,000. And at that stage, I was only charging like $5,000. And it's like, what? Like this guy's gonna like, it's almost like the guys have got this attitude. Let's just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. You know what women do? We throw spaghetti at the wall, but first we boil the water, then we make sure it's hot enough. We put some salt in the water, then we put the spaghetti in. We're making sure that it's cooked perfectly, and then we throw it up against the wall. Guys, I don't give a shit. They just throw spaghetti up against the wall, even if it's uncooked. They don't give a shit. They've just got this like ballsy attitude. Women, just throw your bloody spaghetti up against the wall, whether it's cooked or not, and just see what happens,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that women do undervalue themselves. And there are a lot of men also that have, the imposter syndrome and feel like, feel like, they're just trying, they have this like exterior that's like tough, but then you get in there and they're like little scaredy cats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we all doubt ourselves. And I just find that, just my experience. And when I deal with women, I don't hire women specifically or not specifically. I just put an opportunity out there and whatever happens. And I do find that, like right now I was interviewing just recently, and I got a couple of male candidates, a couple of female candidates. I actually went with a female. She's going to be starting soon. And, so much experience, so much, different stuff. And the men who had less experience and didn't know what the hell they were talking about were asking for more money. And I was like, man, like, I don't know, is it like ingrained in us or something to like, not, like, is it in, like a female gene that kind of just doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
But anyway, moving on to a topic that I actually really want to ask you about, because you mentioned you do packs and you do different things. I mean, there's email copy, then there's ads, like Facebook ads, like copy for the ad. There's a long form sales letter. Then there's packs, like you said, maybe that are mailed. How did you get to be good at almost all of it? Like, do you find that you got good at, let's say, long form, and then you were able to kind of learn everything else? Or is it just something that you specifically are good at, and then you would maybe recommend for other copywriters to stick to one lane?
Yeah. So like, I think, my I've just pursued my passion of just writing really great copy. Like, people will, I think they'll get themselves into a niche or niche, however you say it. But so they'll get themselves into a niche really early, and people go, oh, what do you specialize in? I went, writing really awesome fucking copy that converts. Like, that's it. I don't have to call myself a direct response copywriter or a conversion copywriter or whatever. Again, I don't like having the qualifiers around what I do, but I just write really great copy that converts. But the thing is that I think if you understand the principles, the foundations of copy, and what it takes to be a great copywriter, write really great copy, to tap into the emotions of people. I think you can write anything, whether that's a Facebook ad, which I write really good Facebook ads through the emails, and I've got a weekly email that I send out, and people seem to love it. They sit there as soon as it's sent. Like, there's people that sit there and open it straight away, so that's a good sign.
Nice.
Yeah, and then all the way through to long form copy, and I think really, at the end of the day, I'm never intimidated by the type of copy that I'm writing. It's just get in and do the job. Like, you need the same kind of elements in a traffic driver email as you do for a long form sales letter. You just have less space.
Summarizing is hard though. You know what I mean? Like, I find on like a Facebook ad, what do you have? Like 10 words to get somebody's attention? You know what I mean? Like, how do you, I know with longer form copy, especially if there's like a VSL attached to it or whatever, you can maybe have somebody's attention a little bit more, but like, what's your tip for writing something small? Like where, let's say a Facebook ad.
You just said something interesting about long form sales letter. Although you've got more room, every word on that page has to earn its place there. It's not that you can just fluff and puff your way through to like 10,000 or 12,000 words. In fact, if you fluff and puff to that, then that's a problem. Like something that Paris teaches us, and this comes from Gary Bensavenga, who I just met recently, and I've been having great little email conversations with. He's the nicest guy on the planet, right? But he says you need 7 times more of whatever you're doing. So you need 7 times more research than like if to get what you need 7 times more copy. Like, so Paris will write 700 bullets to get 100 great bullets.
Wow.
So if you've got a 10-page sales letter or whatever, then you're writing 70 pages and you're culling it down. Every word has to earn its place, whereas most people will go, oh, I need 12,000 words, or 10,000 words, I'm just going to bump it up to get it out there, and they're filling it and they're plumping it. But a great copywriter is going, shit, I only need 12,000 words, and I'm stuck at 20. What else can I cull here? So so that's what I'm saying is, like, you still need to, and what I call it putting people into an attention trance. Anything that's in your copy that detracts, like gets them off that grease slide, as Joe Sugarman would talk about, needs to go. You can't have ejector buttons. You can't have corrugated, like, tin or anything in that. You can't have any rough spots. Can't have any like emotional black holes. It all has to be so nice and tight that it's like a cocoon. It's like a copy cocoon that like embraces people, and they just like sit there, and like all the cat videos and everything around the world that's going on around them.
Those crazy cat videos.
It's like, shit, that kid wants some food. What? No, I'm in this copy cocoon. I'm reading. Shush, kind of thing. So, okay. So getting back to your question. So whether I'm writing short or long, when I'm starting out, I'm starting in the middle of the action. It's like, some people will start with, in the hedge fund world at the moment, in 2020 and 2019, investors removed blah, blah, blah amount of money and put it into ETFs and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever. Like,
just get to the meat of it. Yeah. Like,
yeah, it's like,
I need you to coach some of the blog writers I hire. I swear to God, they're always like, we have 1,500 words, and they're writing like 400 of them about like what the industry is about. I'm like, but we're targeting people who are in the industry. They know what it's about. Why are you like, I don't want to read about what, a dating site is. I'm a dating site owner. So just get to the fucking point.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the lesson. Get to the fucking point.
Yeah, get to the point quickly. I mean, there's nothing wrong about telling them about what's happening in the industry.
Yeah.
But once you've got them, like, you don't, think about like your website, before the fold or before the scroll and all that sort of stuff. And with your Facebook ad, that's like that first bit of copy is the real estate that's going to drag people in. They're not on Facebook to read your ad or look at your shit. That they're just not. So you need to give them some reason, and you can't just rely on like that bait and switch or clickbait, because then you're training people that you're full of bullshit. So next time they see your ad, they go, yeah, no, I'm not falling for that again. I was
tricked. Yeah. No, I mean,
all for it once.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like, what you're saying is try out a lot of different copy and it's all kind of the same thinking and so forth. So that brings me to my last question. And because now it's culminating to this question, because you brought all this information. What is your why? You mentioned, you have to have why. What is your why?
I'm glad you circled back to that, because I'd hate to finish this without talking about the why. So now, I used to have a why, and it was to do this and but none of it ever happened. I'd make these hairy, audacious goals and they just didn't happen. And I'd kind of followed the why program, being a Simon Sinek, like convert and all that sort of stuff. You got to know why you're doing it. But just life got in the way and I wouldn't be doing it. But then one day I was just sitting there, and I'm quite spiritual. So I'm kind of like just thinking to the life and universe, and I call it in quiet contemplation, deep thought. And so I'm sitting there and I just went, okay, so what is going on? My why doesn't seem to be happening. And it's because your why is outside of yourself. What if you were your why? And I went, what the hell are you even talking about? And so what I started to realize is, like, I've got some amazing friends with amazing whys. Like, one wants to have an orphanage in India. One of them wants to go to Thailand and take 100 sex workers off the street. Other people have got these, amazing things, want to set up schools in Africa and remote areas in Australia. We've got Indigenous people that need help too. But every time I check in with them every year for the last 5 years, trying to keep them accountable, saying, what happened? Oh yeah, life got in the way. I got sick or something else happened, blah, blah, blah. And then I actually worked out that all of those external whys, it's they can be outsourced. Anyone can do them. Like, you could set up an orphanage in India. Why wouldn't you if you had the means, And so then that kind of negates mine. But then what I worked out is that, okay, so when I got that guidance of, like, what if you were your why? And I went, yeah, well, whatever. That sounds very selfish. But then I had a bolt of blue, like, thought one day, and I went, what if my why is me 20 years from now in the future, and I'm doing it for me? And so I've got this thing, I want to be a trust fund retiree. I want to just be living the life, I'll work if I want to work. I'll be a philanthropist. I'm happy to give money away, but my needs have to be met first. And also, here's the other thing, Maria, if I don't exist, then there is no life. There is no me. There's no ripples. So what I realized, in my pond of life, I have to be that ripple. And then the other ripples, I can look after the other ripples as they go out. But I can't look after my family as a ripple if I don't make the ripples in the first place. So I am my why. That's not just an any why. I call it my unshakable why. So my unshakable why is the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. In like tomorrow morning at 3:30, I'll be up out of bed for my Paris call at 4 a.m. I've been doing that for the last 4 and a bit years now. Wow. I've only missed a couple of calls out of, like, my dad got sick last year and I was a red hot mess. But so I do that. And why do I do that? Because if I don't do what I need to do now, then that woman in the future suffers. And my God, that woman deserves to have a good life, because she's put up with me all her life. I've made some really dumb decisions. I've done some silly things. I want her to have, like, healthy choice decisions, like she can, buy an island if she wants to hide away from the world. She can have a yacht, whatever. I don't care what she wants. She can have it, because she's not going to want for anything. But you know what, Maria? No one else can do that for me. I can't outsource that why. So for me, it's unshakable. And also the other thing with my unshakable why, the shiny object syndrome just, like, disappears, because all I have to say is, does this opportunity take me towards that trust fund retiree that's like living the life, drinking rum, smoking cigars in Key West, whatever she's doing? I don't give a shit as long as she's enjoying life. Or does it take me away, or does it make no impact? If it makes no impact and takes me away, why the hell do it? So when this opportunity came my way, Maria, I looked at it and I went, is this going to take me closer towards my trust fund retiree me, or is it going to take me away? And it was a resounding, mate, it's going to take you so close to it. It's not funny. Do it. Even though it scares the absolute bejesus out of me. Like I sometimes I just look at the mammoth size of this that I'm doing and I'm creating with this company, and I just go, it scares the shit out of me. And what if I fail? And it's like, but what if you succeed? Now that'll be a story.
That's a better question. That's a better question. What if you succeed?
I like better questions. So that's my unshakable why. You know, like people say, oh, my unshakable why is my kids. I go, yes, but no, because your kids are a ripple. But, you know, like if you're not there, Maria, who looks after your little one? It's like, that's why you have to be your unshakable why. And it's the thing that will make you go that little bit further than everyone else who goes, yeah, my why is looking after, you know, this. It's like, yeah, anyone can do that, but no one's going to look after you as much as you look after you.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have a friend of mine who has 3 children, and, you know, her life is always about her kids. And it's like, I have to do this for the kids and stuff like that. And she's exhausted and so forth. And I actually had this conversation with her quite recently, which is timely that you mentioned this. I said, you know, like on a plane, if the plane's going down, the first thing they tell you is you got to put your mask on first. Because if your mask is not on, then you can't help everybody else. So make sure you take care of yourself and make sure you are, you know, well in order to be able to help everybody else. And I try to do the same thing for myself. I'm not super successful at it just yet because I work a little bit too much, but you know, I try to always keep that as well. And if I'm not good, I can't be good for my son. I can't be good for my family. I can't be good for anybody.
That's right.
So
that's it.
You know, I love that it's you, and it's not selfish, which is the important thing. It's not a selfish thing to say, I got to take care of myself. I'm not feeling, you know, or whatever, I need to do this. And society, you know, we're getting into an existential conversation, but society, you know, looks down upon people who say, I have to take care. I don't feel well. I need to do something for me. I need to, help myself in some way. So I'm really glad that we went through that, and that you said that. And then also the fact that it's not necessarily about money. It's like, for me, you know, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I'm doing well. You know, things are good. I find there's a certain level of money that you get to that, not that it doesn't matter how much more you have, but nothing changes. You know what I mean? Like nothing changes. Like what am I else? I have my car that I like, because that was one thing about me. I was like, I wanted my car. I just really wanted my Range Rover. I had to have it. I got it. Good. And then, you know, my house is the same. I have the same friends. I wear the same clothes. it's not, you know, I like wearing tights and t-shirts. That's just, it's not going to change whether I buy them from Old Navy or whatever. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, it's the important thing is to think of your why, and to think of, you know, for me, it's similar. I think I have a similar goal to you, which is I want to be able to have the freedom later on to be like, you know what? I'm going to go golfing for a month.
Yes.
Just whatever. I want to go hiking in the Maritimes in Canada, or I want to go, you know, stuff like that. It's just to enjoy myself, to make the world and life better, because I will, you know, hopefully share the wealth with other people in my journey and help other people and so forth. So I'm really glad that you shared that with us, and that you trusted us with your why. And it's important for all writers and just everybody in business to have that, because that's what makes you successful, when you have, you know, a light at the end of the tunnel, what you're working for. So thank you, Pauline. This was really awesome. I'm really happy that you were my first female guest, and there's going to be many, many more.
Awesome.
And, you know, for everybody listening, if you want to get in touch with Pauline, you can come through me, and we're going to have some information in the show notes of how to get in touch with Pauline. Thank you so much, Pauline. Have yourself I think you're a good day, and I'm a good night now. So take care of yourself, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's mariasparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.